Welcome to today's interactive session. We're gonna have a little bit here today. I am Jessica Oker from Wildcraft Ayurveda, and off to my side, which you can't see, is Kayla.
Yeah.
She's also here. She works with me at Wildcraft Ayurveda. And so we are going to be discussing Ayurveda's perspective on sleep and give you guys a couple of tips for sleep, for better sleep and why we want to sleep. So there are a few of us that are here live and a lot of people are on Zoom. The one housekeeping rule that we have is that due to the nature of the setup, we can't see the chat. So if you have questions, I apologize, we won't be able to see it, but we can hear you. So if you have a question, please feel free to speak up and I'll do our best to address it. So with that, I'm gonna go ahead and get started. Because a lot of people are new to Ayurveda, and I always tell people this is the most simple, complicated science that you're ever gonna come across. In fact, I met a pediatrician yesterday. She's studying Ayurveda now because of me, because I'm obnoxious like that. And everybody falls in love with it after I tell them all about it. And she's like, oh my gosh, I've been doing this 3 years and I'm realizing there's so much I have to learn. I was like, girl, I'm like 8 years in and I know nothing. But the more you learn, the more you fall in love with this beautiful science that is really designed to help us live our lives without suffering. And if you're not sleeping, everyone in your family's suffering if you're not. So sleep is super important for us. They consider it to be one of the 3 pillars of life. And sleep is called nidra in Ayurveda. And they look at 2 other pillars being diet or ahara, and then regulated lifestyle. So living according to your dosha. So it's one of the 3 most important pillars. Without sleep, we can't have proper physical health, we can't have proper mental health, we can't have spiritual well-being. It's something that we need. They define it as a process to help the body rejuvenate, but also restore equilibrium. So before we dive too deep into sleep, we're going to talk a little bit about what is Ayurveda, and then some herbs that can help drive sleep and why and how they work. And for this class, I was lucky to find some scientific studies on every herb. So I was really excited to see that there were some good tests out on how effective are these compared to pharmaceuticals, and do they really have an impact on sleep, or do we just feel good and fall asleep? Like, what is the mechanism that's driving sleep? So we'll talk about those herbs. And then I'm going to make a rose cardamom pudding from coconut milk. We're gonna go through that and use beets to dye it pink because we can. Why wouldn't it be pink, right? So you can use butterfly pea powder if you want to make it blue. So there's a couple of things that we can do with that. And then we're going to make something called moon milk or Ayurvedic moon milk. And it's basically going to be a warm milk that you can use of your choice. It can be plant or other based. And Ayurveda is primarily vegetarian, so we picked oat milk today. And we're going to add in some of those herbs to help us relax and go to sleep, right? So hopefully not at your desk. So what is Ayurveda, right? So Ayurveda sounds really super hard to pronounce, right? But it really translates to the study of life. So Ayur is study and the Veda is life. So it's legend to be about 10,000 years old, written down 5,000 years ago. And the goal was so that people would not suffer and they could live out life being their true authentic selves, because that's what the world calls us to be. It is the precursor to traditional Chinese medicine. It's a holistic system of wellness. It is ancient. It's rooted in ancient India. And there are 8 branches of study. So some people will specialize. There are other people who are kind of like general practitioners, which is more of what we do. But you can find Ayurvedic practitioners or doctors who specialize. There are some that just do internal medicine, some that do pediatrics, some that do surgery, ENT. Others will do psychotherapy, toxicology, rejuvenation or geriatrics, and then reproduction. So you'll find you can usually find an Ayurvedic practitioner partnered in a hospital with oncology, right? So it is a blueprint for wellness that guides individuals to honor their unique constitution, find balance, and align with your true nature, because they believe that all of those things occur. We're said to be in perfect health because all of the organ systems and our organs are working appropriately. all of our excretory functions have the appropriate cadence, as well as frequency. And then when you have all those things, right, you're being perfectly nourished, so you'll have a balanced mind, body, and spirit. So I did a little bit of research because I'm surprised at how Ayurveda is spreading across the globe and more in recent years than it had historically. So we're seeing a lot of an uptick in the United States and Germany, for example, as well as the UK. You're seeing a big rebirth of Ayurveda, but obviously since it sprung from India, that's where you're going to have the bulk of people that embrace Ayurveda. Approximately 80% of the Indian population, over 1 billion people, use Ayurvedic medicine either routinely or occasionally. Globally, again, United States, Europe, and Southeast Asia, they're estimating that millions of people around the world are now using Ayurvedic treatments. In fact, there's an Ayurvedic hospital that's opening in Germany, which I thought was really neat. So in Sri Lanka, Nepal, Ayurveda is actually part of the traditional medical health system. And recent estimates state that about 300 to 500 million people globally are impacted by the utilization or the practice of Ayurveda. I think it's growing because people are looking for something natural and alternative. But Ayurveda does an amazing job of partnering with Western. So it's a very symbiotic relationship where we excel at driving digestion or impacting lifestyle and behaviors, but also with detox pathways and things like that. So it's a nice little partnership. It's a lot more familiar than you think, right? So yoga is Ayurveda, but it's the physical expression of Ayurveda. It's actually created to make us more disciplined so that we can eat the way we're supposed to and do the things that we're supposed to throughout the day. So Ayurveda triggers, it targets specific, yoga targets specific organs and organ systems, but it's also meant to give us a little bit more discipline in life. Meditation developed the same time that Ayurveda started to become something in the world. Herbal remedies, detoxification are the hallmarks of Ayurveda. We use spices as food, right? So a lot of the spices that we eat on a daily basis, they're medicinal, but they're food. So that's something that's very big in Ayurveda. We have something also called a daily routine, and we're going to talk about daily routine. They call it dinacharya, but it really does help establish a sleep pattern, and it's something that you start to do in the morning. It's holistic. Ayurveda treats the entire person. And again, acupressure sprung from Ayurveda, where they're going to use needles to enter energy points. We use herbalized oils and touch therapy or sort of more acupressure than we would a needle. Crystals, color therapy, light therapy, home design, those are all things that are part and parcel of Ayurveda. So there's a very key concept where they look at imbalances, or in the Western world, what we call disease, is going to be dosha driven, which is kind of an unusual concept. But they look at energies within the physical body and they label them vata, pitta, and kapha. They're just really good at umbrella terms. And so people who have an energy signature that's predominantly vata, they're going to be the people that we identify as very creative. They're super connected to the ether. They're the artists of the world. They have all these brilliant ideas, but they go, 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 because they're taking care of everyone until they collapse, right? These are the folks that will have trouble sleeping at night, but mostly because they're overthinking, right? They're constantly ruminating throughout the day. Vata energy governs our nervous system according to Ayurveda, as well as our circulation. So when Vata goes out of balance, we're going to get more constipation and we'll just become more nervous, right? May not know why, but we're very anxious when we're in balance. So we ground these people with certain types of herbs just to kind of get them, we joke, to get them back into the body because they're up here in the ether. So we weight those folks down. I joke it's pretty much any child in middle school, right? So it's just a lot. It's because their life is go, 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 right? They're just going, 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 doing, doing, doing. And their phones and everything, that's all vata, 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 right? So then we have pitta, and pitta is going to be more cellular respiration, metabolism, is transformative energy or chemical energy in the body. So people who are predominantly Pitta are going to be business owners, account managers. I have a book in my bag pretty much everywhere I go because we're constantly processing information. We have to. We just like to do more creative things, but just those are the people that can kind of take that 50,000-foot view and take like 20 different things and bring it all into one because they're just amazing. It's Excel spreadsheets for like their favorite thing. So I put everything into an Excel spreadsheet, like my whole life. So when we're unbalanced, we heat ourselves up. So we become inflamed, we'll get prone to inflammation, we'll become a little bit more critical, including self-critical. And when we can't sleep, it's mostly because we're hot, we're recapping the day, like how could I organize that better? Or how am I going to organize tomorrow? And so that's how our sleep becomes more impaired. Whereas Kapha folks are going to be the teddy bears of the world. They're super loving. They're the kind of people who have a ton of money in the bank, but you wouldn't know because they don't really leave their house. So they're just really couple best friends they've had their entire life. They give the best hugs in the world, right? Very loyal, but when they become imbalanced, they get a little lethargic, maybe apathetic, and they might sleep a little too much, right? So they just become a little too sedentary. So we joke that we like to warm up the Vata folks because they tend to be very cold. Pitta folks, we have to cool them down because there's just way too much heat. And Kapha folks, we kind of want to invigorate them because they're a little bit more inert. But we obviously have a little bit of everything or we wouldn't exist. And I share the lens of the dosha perspective because it's how they look at imbalances in the body. So similar when we talked about heart disease, is it Vata, Pitta, or Kapha driven? Sleep, is it Vata, Pitta, or Kapha driven? Because that's going to affect how we treat it, right? How we manage it. So diving into Vata, right? So it's the energy of communication and movement in the body. So when somebody associates with having insomnia, these are the people that wake up every 5 minutes. Like they heard a sound, they're up, they're up, they're up, right? It's going to be light, interrupted sleep, and their dreams are going to be violent. It's not like they're flying. They're fighting, they're flying, they're super active in their dreams because these people never slow down, right? So it's going to be restless dreams, really interactive type of dreams. Falling, flying, running. From a tongue analysis perspective, these are going to be people that we say have a very geographic tongue, right? Lots of cracks on the tongue. So we know their sleep is probably impacted by Vata. Pitta, again, is that energy of digestion, metabolism, fire, transformation in the mind and the body. So they're going to have too much trouble falling asleep because they're constantly thinking, right? They're reading a book, they're doing something to engage. Difficulty falling asleep. They're going to wake up in the middle of the night because they're really hot. Their dreams are going to be more goal-driven, very intense, but it's going to be more of like they recap what happened during the day. On the tongue, these are people who are going to have swollen tongues, a little bit more heat. We might see that the edges of their tongue curl up, and we associate that with high blood pressure when it does go on pretty deep into the system. Kapha is the energy of structure in the body and the mind, or stability. We associate with like bones and muscles and things like that. But as far as sleep goes, Kapha is the dosha that kind of dominates sleep because we're supposed to be inert when we're sleeping. We're supposed to be calm, rested. If somebody has an imbalance, they can't wake up in the morning. They're exhausted. You can't wake them up. They want to sleep in. They're not, Vata folks, Vata is probably up at 6:30, Pitta is probably up at 4:30 or 5:30, and Kapha, good luck if you could get them out of bed at 10, right? They're very slow dreams, they're calm, they're usually very emotional. A lot of Kapha folks won't even remember their dreams, but if they do, it will be very loving. They'll be by a lake, kind of water, they'll dream of water, the earth, and things like that. And more family or nostalgia. So it's always neat when we get to meet people and we ask what their dreams are like and it matches. So what is Ayurveda say to do to help us sleep? So there's one thing called Abhyanga, and I'm going to show you guys a little bit of Abhyanga. But basically, we're putting oil onto the skin. And the reason is it only takes about 90 seconds to get to the bone, according to Ayurveda. So anything that you put on your skin, right, this is the largest organ in the body. I actually heard yesterday that if you take your skin out, this sounds so horrible, but lay it out, it's like 400 square feet. It's something insane, the amount of surface area that we have. And I thought, if I'm heavier, like, do I have more surface? But anyway, you have this amazing vehicle that you can use to get herbs into the skin. And what's so beautiful about Abhyanga is it's a practice of self-love. So oil translates from sneha in Sanskrit translates to love. So you're basically loving yourself, but in reality, you're draining your lymph system, right? You're triggering your lymph system. The strokes that you're doing produce serotonin, right? Love. It helps us detox. It helps, and serotonin is so important because it converts to melatonin, right? So I don't know if any of you had grandmas, mine was a yaya. And when we had babies, you were supposed to slather them up in oil so they would sleep at night. It's the same thing for us. So basically, it calms the nervous system, and we have different oil here for you guys today. If you guys want to try it, if you identify with your dosha, we have Vata, Pitta, and Kapha. So mine is Pitta today. But you want to, and I'm not going to be as generous, but you're like crazy generous with this oil, and you'll do long strokes on the bones, and then circular motions on the joints. You'll start near the top, go all the way down, get your feet. They want you to do this every morning. And as you notice, if your body needs the oil, it's soaked in so fast. So some people are like, well, how much should I put on? And I'm like, as much as you want. I mean, this could be like 2 days of oil. And you'll put it on. Really, they want you to stay juicy in Ayurveda so that all the organs are nice and soft, right? It's also going to protect you a little bit by developing your innate immune system. It helps with fragile skin, all around just, moisture. So you put it on, they'll tell you in the morning as part of dinacharya for sleep-driven and calmness, right? Meditate and sit for 20 minutes and let it soak in. I tell people, if you can brush your teeth while you have it on, I'm thrilled, right? Start getting it on, start putting it on. But as you can see, for the most part, my body just is gone. And you'll probably feel the same way. We don't oil up enough. Yeah. We're all deficient in oil. So that's something that they do in the morning that really does help with sleep. It's part of that morning routine. They also want us to sleep by 10, right? So we want everybody to go to bed by 10. And the reason is cellularly, we start to take out the trash, right? That's when your body starts to move into those mechanisms that detox, the pathways. It's good for brain health. It's good for overall physical health. Ayurveda will tell you at 10 o'clock, it starts to pick up the time where your body starts to detox, and you'll have a hard time falling asleep because now the body is working in a way that's going to keep you up till about 2. So if you find people, they're like, oh, I'm up till 2. If I can get you to bed by 10, it almost takes care of it. And so they want us to rise with the sun in the morning, and it really just sets your metabolism throughout the day. But if you can get to bed before 10, it really does help drive sleep. They also believe in something called pranayama or meditation. We talked about meditation, which most people are familiar with. And pranayama is just breathing. And so we went to a retreat this weekend, and we were blessed to have a breath coach teach us how we're not breathing properly, right? It was mind blowing. It was so amazing, but I couldn't fall asleep the other day, and I said, I'm gonna do his breathing technique, and it was amazing at calibrating and calming your nervous system. So I'm gonna encourage you guys to do this with me. But there were 2 things that he showed us, and you basically take the palm of your hands, put them on the back of your backside, right? Kind of where your kidneys are, right in the back. And so when you breathe, most of us are breathing in, here through our mouths, which we're supposed to be breathing through our noses. But you really want to breathe deep down into this area and expand. And so when you take a breath and you drive it down, you should feel this backside kind of fill up. So you take that deep breath, and this is where you're going to feel that expansion. You feel it? It's cool, isn't it? Right? So this is where we're supposed to be breathing more down in this area versus just in that shallow breath, right? So if you can do that a couple of times, it's going to really help calm you down. The other thing that he taught us was when you breathe in, you breathe in through your nose. Most of us are breathing in and downward, but the goal is actually to breathe in towards the back of the center of your head. So you almost want to feel like you're drawing in that breath towards the back and filling up the back of your cranium. And when you do that, you end up slowing your respiration, which calms you down, right? So there's a third breath, and it's called Ujjayi. And so Ujjayi is beautiful. You breathe in through your nose, and you're almost like, you'll hear that sound. So you'll breathe in through your nose. It's a slow, almost guttural type of sound that comes down. So Dr. Ladd teaches you that, let's say you have a headache or you're having trouble sleeping, if you touch this marma point in the top of your head and you do 4 Ujjayi breath, he says you'll get rid of the headache and you can kind of calm down. So you just do 4 and you can hold it. There's a couple of other really important marma points, and you want to be very soft on these points. They're acupressure points, basically. And you can do this and while doing Ujjayi breath, and you'll calm and focus your mind, and it's easier to go to sleep. So, 'cause most of the time we're thinking and we're breathing too much, right? We obviously want to avoid overstimulation. And then when none of that works, you have herbs. So we can knock you out with herbs. So not eating past 7 o'clock is going to be very helpful as well, because it gives your body time to start metabolizing and processing, so it doesn't have to do it while you're trying to go to sleep. I'm still working on that one. Okay, so I brought a couple of the herbs that I happen to have in the clinic with us today that we can we'll talk about them and what their impact is on sleep. One of them is called Tagata or valerian root. People are pretty familiar with valerian root now, but what's so cool is that it increases the brain levels of GABA A, GABA aminobutyric acid, and which basically GABA acts as a primary inhibitory neurotransmitter in the brain. So it slows down neural activity and it inhibits the cells of wakefulness. And that's the mechanism it utilizes to drive sleep. So I found this really cool, and I'm going to share these slides with everyone, but there was a very interesting study of clinical trials on various extracts of valerian root. And what they found is that it didn't have much of an effect, actually no effect, on reducing sleep latency, but it consistently and significantly improved the quality of sleep. And they found that in comparison to benzodiazepines, it was just as effective, but safer. So the other one is called Shank-Pushpi, and we have Shank-Pushpi with us here today, and that's Morning Glory, which people are kind of familiar with. It's a GABA agonist, so it kind of mimics the effect of GABA, but it's also nootropic, so it's really good at enhancing memory. It also plays a crucial role in promoting sleep by inhibiting those cells of wakefulness. So I found another trial that was very interesting. We usually use Shank-Pushpi for anxiety. It's going to be more of a Vata type of imbalance who can't sleep, but Shank-Pushpi has been shown in clinical trials. There aren't too many of them, but it has pro-cognitive, antioxidant, and anti-inflammatory effects, and it's been known to reduce anxiety and stress by controlling the productions of hormones, adrenaline, and cortisol. So I think the theory behind Shank-Pushpi is it basically just calms you down enough so that you can sleep. Because it's anti-inflammatory and those types of effects, we would probably use this for Vata and Pitta. So this one is just beautiful. It's called butterfly pea. It's blue, and I had a lovely woman come in and thought that it was butterflies who pee. And I just thought that was beautiful, but I never thought of that. It's amazing, but it's actually a plant. And I don't know what went through her mind, like how we capture butterflies. But I went down that rabbit hole and I was like, that's amazing. She's so open-minded, like, why not? She's like, I'll take it, I can't sleep. I can't sleep, so. It's a GABA enhancer, it's an adaptogen, it enhances serotonin and dopamine, but it's also an antioxidant. It demonstrates anti-inflammatory properties by lowering cortisol, but it's also very interesting in its mechanism to be a neuroprotective plant. And so they've shown in studies that it regulates the hypothalamic pituitary adrenal axis, which basically reduces our stress. So there was another study that I linked it to. They used it for post-COVID-19 patients who couldn't sleep, and it had a really good effect on driving sleep in that population. Ashwagandha, which almost everybody's heard of, right? So ashwagandha has become so popular. It's an adaptogen, so it's got that bi-directional effect where you feel calm, but you have a lot of energy, right? So some people are really affected by ashwagandha, so I tell them to take it at night if it does make them sleepy. And ashwagandha is very heavy. It's very building. It goes into the muscles and the tissues according to Ayurveda. So somebody who's very kapha, we may not want to use this because it's too heavy for them, right? So it's fascinating in Ayurveda. We have to learn the quality and the effect of the herb on the body, pre-digestive tract, and then how does it affect post-digestive tract. So they look at it from those types of perspectives. But it is an adaptogen. It also has that neuroprotective effect on the HPA axis. And it has an ability to make total sleep time and sleep quality more effective. So they did a study on 150 people who were very healthy, no comorbidities, but had issues with sleep. And 6 weeks of using ashwagandha, there was a 72% improvement in sleep quality versus 29% in the placebo group. But I do tell people it takes 3 weeks for ashwagandha to saturate your tissues. So if you're taking it and you're like, this doesn't work at all, you got to give it a little bit more time. So jatamansi is another herb that we use in Ayurveda. It's a GABA enhancer. It's a sedative, a hypnotic. It's going to be nutmeg. So nutmeg has a rhizome powder specifically in it. But it is it has a, I'm sorry, nutmeg is the next one, not jatamansi. I apologize. I was looking at this. Jatamansi has the rhizome powder in it that extends the total duration of sleep without affecting muscle coordination. So it acts as a CNS depressant by calming the nervous system, very similar to a nutmeg. It has a sedative and hypnotic type of effect. So we use that for very nervous people. Nutmeg, also sedative hypnotic effect, but it has a 4-hour time delay and it has to be fresh. So it has to be the whole nut. You can't just buy the powder. So you have to freshly grate it. And we were trained that it will oxidize within 2 weeks and whatever effect will be lost. So if you're trying to sleep, we use this. It's contraindicated if somebody has really low blood pressure. This is the herb that we would give for someone who's very high pitta. Maybe they have high blood pressure, they can't sleep. And this will help knock you out. They said, I've gotten people off of sleep meds with that because they take it. I always tell people to start in a very slow dose of like a half a teaspoon and you can titrate your way up. Some people need more depending on what they're going through. Up to 2 teaspoons, some people up to 4 teaspoons. So you just mix it in warm milk and drink it. If you like the taste of nutmeg, right? But when people want to sleep, they're fine with it. So you just have to really watch the dosages with nutmeg because of blood pressure and maybe some other comorbidities. But they do have a very interesting study, but they did it on chickens, which I thought was amazing. They didn't do it on humans yet. So the only one I could find was on chickens, but they slept better. I don't know if they have sleep problems. My chicken's struggling. So anyway, that was a very interesting study that I found that I wanted to go ahead and share.
Yeah,
So
I'd like to know about the question. So if you mix that with milk, can you put like sugar or something?
Yeah, you can put honey or something, whatever you want to do, put it in. You put ashwagandha in it, and we're gonna actually, it's kind of, you're just describing moon milk, basically. Yeah, so warm milk, some nutmeg, some ashwagandha, maybe you want to put butterfly pea powder in it, and then mix it, warm it up. These tends to be an astringent type of taste, so usually you kind of want something sweet in there unless you're real strong. We sweeten it. Yeah, we put sugar in ours, yeah, or honey. You're not really supposed to put honey into hot things in Ayurveda because it turns toxic, but you could do like a room temperature and add honey, but they use jaggery, which is gonna be more unprocessed sugar. Yeah, that's a great question. However you get it into you is what I tell people. Okay, so with that, any other questions? Is anything on that? Okay, so we're gonna make the pudding. So basically, turn this guy on. Actually, let me open this up first. It's such a simple recipe, but it's basically coconut milk. It's just a can of coconut milk, beets because we want to color it pink and make it pretty. A little bit of rose water because rose is very calming. It's great for pitta and that heat and inflammation in the body. It's a very loving taste. And then we'll also add some vanilla, and we will add cornstarch and sugar to thicken it up. So we played around with it last night to pre-make some, and I don't know why I decided, but I was like, hey, I'm gonna try agave instead of sugar just to see. So what I learned from chemistry is that you need sugar to make it thicken. Yeah, so it's just a little bit, but it still tastes really good. So I was like, this is okay. But what it made me realize is that if anybody has, some people have sugar cane allergies and stuff like that too, and they can't do it. Or maybe they don't want as much sugar. So we also played around if you could just do it with Jello, and you can't. It's not as healthy, but maybe meeting people where they're at, if they need to do it with the Jello, and then add some of the rose. We also add cardamom, which is probably the most important ingredient. And cardamom is a carminative, it's a gas buster. So we use it because it calms the nervous system, drives bowel movements, it brings down that vata type of energy to help you sleep. So I'm just gonna open up the pan.
I know people use cardamom for like seasoning and stuff. Can you describe the taste? I don't know if I've ever had it.
Smell it and stuff. It's kind of like a nutmeg-y type of smell and taste.
It's a little bit, you can taste, or take some.
And it's literally, you're just pouring in the coconut milk
So you just.
and warming it up. So I brought beets that I had peeled yesterday, just to kind of show you guys, you want a fresh beet, right? Because that's what's gonna transfer the color. And I put a couple in there with a little bit of water, just to kind of really get the pink and draw it out. But you'll see, it's so much fun to watch if I do this, but you just kind of pour in a little bit of the beet juice, right? Yeah, you want to whisk it. And you can see. And then turn it, that might be a little more red.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah, turn the camera. We told her she was being a white chicken. Let's go ahead, put it on the candy. Checking our time here, so you guys can taste it. Cardamom. Oh, this okay. I had cut this in half because we're a smaller group, so. Cardamom, we're gonna do just 1 teaspoon of cardamom. And I'm really kind of the bad chef that just throws stuff in. I don't know if you could ever get enough cardamom. Do you put this in your coffee? To soften the quality of your coffee. You can put it in tea, your food, rice, anything to kind of get cardamom into you is what we want to do. So you asked a really good question on the sugar. So Ayurveda believes in 6 tastes. And the reason is they believe it stimulates certain organs, but bitter, it's gonna be good for your liver, right? Sweet, it's good for your heart. Oh, that can't be good.
It's like they're going to sleep.
With that license plate, yeah. All right, we're out of here.
That time.
So, you try to include 6 tastes in everything you eat so that you feel satiated. And so cardamom is gonna play a role in having more of an astringent type of taste, right? Whereas you've got vanilla and rose, they're a little bit sweeter. The coconut is sweeter. Go ahead and put some vanilla. It's so pretty. And y'all can't smell it, but it smells really good. Wow. And you're just gonna continue to heat it up until it boils. And then it is a tablespoon of rose water. They make a rose petal jelly, like a jam. So you can take fresh rose petals and layer it with honey from cardamom. And then leave it out in a jar, like in the sunlight, I think it's 7 or 14 days, somewhere around that, you check it. And it turns into this rose petal jam that, wow, you will want in your life for
Really
forever.
Cool.
It lowers the heat in the body, it helps you calm down, it just tastes yummy.
That's one a nice snack.
Yeah.
I'm just sneaking up Tuesday.
I know, right?
So good.
And you're eating roses and you're like, I'm eating roses.
Yeah.
But
Supposed to be asleep, Kayla.
ah,
You're
yeah.
not.
This is an
Well-
example of vodka.
Yes. Look at each other down.
Yeah. So we're just gonna let that keep going. You wanna keep doing that one? Okay, and then. As I'm talking, I'll make sure to remember that I'm supposed to put it, this will go next and it's sugar here. And we're sending out these recipes to everybody, so you have them. Right. They get one. So while that's cooking, I'm gonna go ahead and make some moon milk. Which is that's easy. And it's literally just warm milk of your choice. And butterfly pea powder because it's flu. But we also learned a little bit about it, right? It'll help you sleep, it's a nootropic. You a double whisk?
Hold on, let's-
I'll just show everybody. This is a one, both of these is live. Because obviously it's blue, you know, you're drinking a pink drink or a blue drink. You got them. So we're just gonna start warming that up. While we get tons of sound.
Stop getting over here.
Yeah, we're doing sound. I think this would be negative sound. The one thing about the butterfly pea powder is it kind of drops in a little like clumpy, but once it starts to heat up, you'll see it kind of melting a little more. It just takes a little time. And if you don't like the shade of blue, you can go darker. You can make pink milk as well. Just using, you could use the beets, you could use rose water. And because we do use herbs as food. You can put roses on top. I just bought the flowers in case anybody wanted to put some roses on it. But you feel like eating a rose. So the blue is starting to go in. I'm gonna go ahead and put ashwagandha. Oh, we have some out there. This is the one that's kind of more of a coffee paste. It's also astringent. So I don't like to put necessarily too much, because it'll be kind of suck all the moisture out of you. That'll work. So the aggressive,
You wanna do
the
something?
grinding sound.
You can help with it. Get more repeats.
Oh, it's too funny. Okay, tablespoon of cornstarch. You're like ambidextrous. I like it. Let's see how ambidextrous you are. Yeah, learn to do this one. Oh, look at you. It'll clump up before another. Yeah. So once you put the cornstarch in, it'll start to thicken as it heats, and then you'll put it aside and cool it. And then, I'll do this if you want to give them some of the one that I made yesterday.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, this one smells, unless you want nice and warm. That one's a little cooler. Got 5 more minutes, right? Oh, we got to 1:15. No, we're gonna go slower because I was freaking out at 1. I do that every time. No,
We're still not finished.
yeah, let's see if this one thickens up first though. Because we've got a few more minutes. Oh my gosh, this is so. So you're supposed to bring it to a bit more of a boil, just like pudding, right? Let's hit this one. Is that us?
Mhm.
Oh,
No.
Come on, it's going to sleep too.
Yeah. Just put everything to sleep.
we're having a big effect on your electrical system today.
I'm gonna play
Lights.
lights.
Okay. Where's the fire extinguisher?
Oh my God.
That's the risk manager. There it is. Okay, I'm kidding. I think we're gonna be. Okay. So you can kind of see how it's starting to get a little thicker, right? It's turning more into like pudding. You can smell it. Oh, it smells amazing. Yeah. I'll show the camera too. But you get special treatment with the fingertips. Small thing that everybody can know. Does it smell good? Yeah. So once you get it to cool off a little bit. Let me see, you guys can see. Oh, I spilled it on the floor. Okay, so I'm gonna let you keep stirring this guy. And then we'll check on the milk. And so you can hear that out.
Jessica, there's a few questions from the virtual side of it. Are you
Yeah.
able to hear me okay?
I can hear you fantastic and
Okay,
thank you.
cool. Tyler was asking, does it matter if it is black or green cardamom that's used?
Great question. The green cardamom, I love it, and the recipe can call for just putting the cardamom pods into it and then taking it out instead of using the ground like that. The only issue is green cardamom is far more pungent, so it may not. It depends on your taste buds is the answer. You might like it. Some other people might think it's too aggressive with the mix of the rose.
Awesome. And then she also asked if you're going to be emailing the recipe afterwards.
Yes, I am.
Awesome. And then Julie had asked, are there any suggestions on where to buy the ingredients?
Oh, yeah, sure. So we actually have them all at the clinic. If anybody wants to come in, we do sell it by the ounce and you can come in and try it. We've got the rose jam too, actually. But I would tell you that Whole nutmeg, you can get at a grocery store most of the time, even when Dixie will have it, or Whole Foods. You can buy it on bulk online. Yeah, we have it. Shank pushpi is gonna be a little bit more challenging to get, so I always recommend the vendors that I'm affiliated with, because I like their quality, and that's Banyan or Gary and Son, and I can share those as well when I send it out. Butterfly pea powder, they don't carry that, so it's gonna be either with us or you'll find something online. Lavender, and also there's Indian supply stores that sell some of this too. Yeah, there's one in Largo that's pretty decent. They'll have spice, yeah, they'll have some of these, but not all. Ashwagandha, same. I definitely get my ashwagandha either from Gary or Banyan, just because I found to be more effective, like the other, there's a lot out there. So don't have a lot of trust in some of the other sources. Whereas they're committed to sourcing ethically and they use ocean recycled plastic and all those things. Cardamom, you're gonna get at the store, or the green cardamom pods, they do sell that. We have it at the clinic, but they also sell it at the Indian supply store, Spice Rack.
Where's that?
It's in Largo.
That's by like Feather Sound,
Yeah.
we go on to choose.
They have a restaurant too, and just I like spicy, y'all, but when you say medium, know that that's a
The
nuclear.
spice and spice rack.
I was like, oh my God, I can't eat this, but I kept it. I think my daughter said, this is so painful, but I can't stop, but it's so good. And it's probably accurate description. And they give you like a
Called
cool
Spice
spice rack, yeah, and the restaurant is called something else next to it, but they have a little bit more of a selection. They definitely have the green cardamom. I don't know if I've seen the nutmeg there, but we're here local, corner of Turner and Myrtle. It's a blue house on the corner. A lot of our, we do a lot of appointment only, because we do have a lot of chronically ill people who come to the clinic. And we're doing a lot of body treatments and stuff, so we try to keep it private for some of those people. So if we're not there, the phone number's on the door and you can always call or text and we'll be there to let somebody in to test out the herb or to purchase the herb. Any other questions?
Not just yet. Thank you.
Okay, sounds good. All right, I'm gonna meter out some moon milk. And because it's fun, you can be extra and grate some nutmeg onto it, right? Does anybody have any qualms with me melting a little bit of sugar into the moon milk? Okay, because it'll taste. We'll do some nutmeg. Not too much. My kids are always like, do you measure? I'm like, no. Go. Yeah, I measure with that. I think there's just a lot of like people that help me cook somewhere else, make it taste better. Yeah. My guides come through and they're like, whoa, what's she doing? Oh, we also add a little bit of cold water to this once it's done to kind of help it thicken. So, yeah. Okay, we'll create some, we'll do it after on the top. And does anybody want fresh lavender on top?
Yeah, I will.
Yes,
Please.
Yes.
With all the things.
I know, right? And I'll pass that to you.
And I'll be in my car for my wedding.
They have an actual nutmeg grater that I heard is amazing. Little guy. I just found out about that and I'm like, one more thing I did. Yeah, oh, that's amazing.
I'll start it.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Oh, and they have these little fancy sleeves. In case she wants, is it too hot?
It always smells good.
Is it hot? Okay. I'll wait until now. You ready for the nutmeg? I have fun putting the lavender in, so I'm doing that. She's like, whatever.
Oh, no. Okay.
So while I'm silent, any other questions? Does anybody want to try the oil on your skin?
Thank you.
Oh, I'd like to try.
Is it, what kind of oil is it?
Vata Pitta Kapha.
That's the name of it?
Yeah.
What is an ingredient?
I know, yeah, it's gonna be more seeds, more plants, like the Pitta will have Guduchi in it, rose, maybe some nutmeg. I have to look at the full list, and then Vata is gonna be more, they're all sesame based.
Okay.
And then the Kapha is gonna have a little bit more like mustard in it, to brighten up someone. Yeah, turn this off, like it's okay.
You're welcome. It's too green, but it smells amazing.
Yeah.
It's a little on.
So if you guys all go to sleep at your desk, I'm really sorry.
Just walk by and smack me.
Yeah.
please.
I'll be sleeping in the car.
I used ashwagandha because it's a bi-directional, right? So it brings you some energy while also giving you a calmer sense of self. Hopefully won't put you to sleep.
I'll pass this way so you don't have to.
Okay. Oh, that's good. That one's getting hot as I'm pouring it out. There you go.
Oh, that's really good.
Like, yeah.
Oh my goodness.
It's different.
It's like pudding with something else. Well, that's.
Jesus Christ.
Oh, no.
That is good. You said to drink the moon milk before bed?
Mhm. Now nutmeg has a 4-hour time delay, so if you're gonna use nutmeg for sleep and you want to fall asleep at 10, know to start nutmeg at 6. If you want your kids to fall asleep, but it's your time. Remember the 4 hours.
Do they ever use like whole edible flowers?
The rose, they're real, yeah, they'll put rose and things like that. Mhm. They're very big on mind, body, and spirit, so it needs to look pretty too. Because it's all of our senses, right?
I like pretty food.
Yeah. And you're more inclined to
I don't think I've ever
Eat
eaten
it.
it.
but then also
How about this? It's just like it's a
they're very big on the digestive fire in your eyes.
Those things, yeah.
So you want joy coming in, love coming in, so if it's pretty.
Makes sense.
It's like.
I think we're good, okay.
Essential oils.
And then,
Yeah.
oh, this is OCD in me. Let's see how this pudding looks. So we have the one we made today that it hasn't set overnight. But if you want to try the one we made today with the sugar cane, it's just gonna be a little bit more warm and thinner, right? Kind of more like the moon milk. Or we have the colder one. So just let
Does it need to refrigerate to set up?
Yeah, so you'll have to put this in kind of overnight.
It's like pudding.
But just like pudding. Mhm. But I mean, you guys can see it's pretty decent. So just let us know which one you wanna try or hope. And I'm gonna get the roses, because who wants a rose petal?
I do.
Of course, right? It'll be a little blue pink, that's fine.
We're gonna just reveal. One, four, and two.
I think it's two, yeah.
Does anyone want the warm pudding?
Yeah, it was like.
I'll put either. We'll try the cold.
Cool. It did, yeah. And a rose. Oh, oh. There you go. It is pretty. I'll
One of
go.
the rooms.
I think everyone here is brave.
Yeah.
Brave.
Look at the pretty.
Sorry, you were faster than I thought you'd be.
Parks.
Yeah.
I hope I don't go to the park and fall asleep.
Right? Talk
Yeah,
to
what a nice
somebody.
tree, yes.
Yes, that's the best place. The best place to sleep.
Harvest some butterfly pea.
Yes.
That's pretty funny. Oh, that was one of the most beautiful things I've ever heard.
Oh, this is really good too.
It's different, right?
I like it.
So kapha folks would have to be a little modest with the pudding, right? Because it's coconut milk, it's heavy. This is really good for people who heat up at night. If you're going through perimenopause,
I just have a big bowl of pudding.
yeah, just have a vat of pudding.
Just fire bed, a mini fridge.
Start chewing on roses before you sleep. That's hysterical.
Now you kind of eat the rose petal?
You can. Mhm. The candied sugared ones are the best.
Oh, that.
Oh, but it needs kind of like hot water and more to melt in.
Wow, these are good.
Watching you eat.
I know. Who'd have thought you just eat it? Yeah.
Actually.
I joke all the time that what we do is kind of odd. And then I realized, wait a minute, it's 10,000 years old. Is it like what I've been doing lately? I don't know yet. Is that it? That's for you?
Mhm.
You gonna roast me up?
You get the
I
last.
love it.
Hey guys,
Yes, ma'am.
do you wanna, if they have any other questions? I mean,
Yes.
We could
I
probably
will
say
do that.
goodbye
Absolutely.
since nobody wants to, us just.
Setting up. Okay, so we're all snacking here. Any questions that anybody has, we're definitely going to be sending out the recipes, the slides for the show so that you guys can get the information on all the herbs and where you can buy them from. Is there any other questions? Or are there any other questions?
I mean,
There might be, as is like, I can't see the chat, but I saw a couple. We can't see the chat, so you'll need to unmute and speak. Or email us, wildcraftayurveda@gmail.com if you want to have your question.
I have a quick question if you can hear me.
Yes,
The oil that you have, is that
Yeah.
something that you sell or is it something
We
you
do.
make with all three? Okay, gotcha.
Yep. Mhm.
Cool.
We have it, there's so much oil in our shop.
It's ridiculous.
We joke,
and
yeah.
and Banyan has their.
And Banyan, yeah,
Yeah.
a Banyan as well, Gary's son has it, and Banyan had a sales over yesterday.
Oh, no.
Check them though, cause I swear they know what they're doing, and one will go on sale, the next one will go on
Yeah.
sale, right? If you wanna just try the oil and come by and just slather it on one day and let us know. If you have a bad, I love people walk in with a bad rash and I'm like,
go to bed.
put your shirt down. Yes, we have something for that. But it's great for, the pit oil is really good for eczema and hives and things like that. It does a great job of pulling the heat out of the skin. If you have rosacea as well, it's gonna be one that helps. It's like a 1% help for that, but yep, just let us know. We've got it. Any other questions? Yep, there's a couple chats coming up, but I can't see them. Unfortunately, we can't see the chats, so you'll have to be brave and say it out loud.
Let's see if I can.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, yeah, I was just curious, or actually, it looks like maybe Tyler just answered me, but I was gonna ask where the shop or clinic
yeah.
that you're mentioning, where that's located?
So we're in Clearwater. We're on the corner of Myrtle and Turner. You'll see this old blue kind of teal house. And there's parking out front, and they're on the street, and then we have some spaces in the back.
Give the actual address.
Oh, that would be smart. 801 Turner Street. Drive around to find the Blue House. 801 Turner Street in Clearwater.
Will you be putting that in the evening?
Yes, I will do that. Thank you. I get so excited for, oh, somebody put in the chat, whoever that is, I can't see your name. There's an expression in everybody's heard
Tyler.
namaste. And what it means is the light in me sees and honors and respects the light in you. So who did that for me? Namaste. There was a couple more little pop-ups, but
I know, I'm sorry.
no, that's okay. Any other questions? So on our website, it's wildcraftayurveda.com. My cell phone's on there. My cell phone's on the billboard. I don't have a lot of boundaries with Ayurveda. Just because I've seen it change lives very quickly and see people very close to death dates walk away with Ayurveda, including myself. So if you have questions that you weren't able to ask today in the chat or didn't get to express them, text me, call me, walk in. We're there all the time.
Do you need to make an appointment to get this workup, I guess?
Yeah, so a consultation for Ayurveda, yeah, so we do it by appointment, you can reach out and we can set up a time. Typically what happens is, we have intake paperwork, right? But I get a picture of your tongue, or if you share it when you come in, so we can see everything that is going on, almost everything in the physical body from the tongue. We can see the function of almost all of your organs on the tongue. We can see what kind of toxins you're dealing with, where they're nesting. Do you have high blood pressure, low blood pressure, thyroid, heart disease, family history, diabetes? Do you have a pathogen? Maybe there's something that you're competing for your resources, right, that we need to eradicate. We can see the strength of your digestive fire, front end, back end. We get a lot from fingernails as well, so we'll look at that. And then we go through the intake. So there'll be questions on diet. How do you eat? When do you eat? What do you eat? How do you sleep? How are your dreams? Frequency, cadence of bowel movements, sweat, all the things, because in Ayurveda, we believe they're all connected, right? So we look at everything from a very holistic. I tell people, come with your Christmas wish list, like everything you don't like about in your life, just put it down. And then what are your goals? And they can be, very specific to working on Crohn's, infertility. I mean, diabetes, you name it, it's walked in the door. And I have some people that just say, I want to feel like I can jump buildings again because I'm tired, right? And that's fine too. But when we come up with a plan together from what comes out of that, and then I provide an Ayurvedic plan that'll be more detailed, explaining what herbs we need to use to meet the goal that we come up with together. And then if some of it might have to be in phases, right? Depending on if somebody has MS or something more severe, it's not going to be, herbs take time, right? We also want to know what medications and things you're on because we work in tandem with, the physician and things like that. So if we're bringing down your blood sugar or your thyroid meds, like we need your physician to know so that we could do that dance together. So it ends up usually being a good 2 hours. The first will be intake. The second is the output of the plan. And I try to sometimes break it up into two because it's a lot of different information, right? We're asking you to think in a different way. Vata, Pitta, Kapha, right? It's kind of strange. And so a lot of it's going to be education to understand why. And also we want you to have, instead of a lot of our Ayurvedic practitioners will look at you, I can look at you at your tongue and in 30 seconds know exactly what I need you to do, if not less, right? That doesn't help you unless you get the knowledge. So we want people to understand the why, how the herbs are working so that you have them as a tool in your back pocket if we're not around, right? This plan should be able to carry you for some length of time. People always ask too, like how long they take the herbs, and I love Ayurveda because it's so cheap. The herbs are inexpensive. Like some of these might be $8 for the month. When you get it, especially in a powder form, maybe 20 to 25 when it's in a tablet. But the goal is to get on, do the work, get off, right? We don't want you on these forever. They should just be a tool and you'll start to learn like, whoa, I'm going out of balance. I'm tired. maybe my bowels aren't happy, or maybe you go on a trip, right? A lot of people go on a trip, we get constipated when we travel. So then you're gonna have that tool in your toolbox where you can be like, oh, I know how to deal with this, or maybe it goes the other way, right, when you travel. These are the tools I have in my toolbox that can just help pull that out. So a lot of it's education too. That's a really long answer to a short question.
No, it's something I'm obviously interested.
Yeah, it's
It sounds almost too good to be true.
I agree with you.
I went to my gynecologist.
I gotta cut this group off, but I'll be here with you. If
Thank you
anybody
guys
has
so
questions-
much.